guys, welcome to the HUDS-ON woodworking shop. The point of this video is to show you how to install the King Canada 50-inch rip fence onto a Delta Unisaw. It's going to be a kind of candid video. The idea here is the instructions cover how to install on their King table saws, but I couldn't find any content on YouTube, and that's often how I like to learn, at least before I dive into documentation, is on YouTube. So I learned a lot in the process of making this saw, of attaching this fence to this table saw. And if I did it again, I could do it super quick, and I want you to be able to do it quick right off the get-go. So here's a video how to install the King 50-inch rip fence, well, I guess 30 inch is probably the same, onto your Delta Unisaw. So for context, here is the fence installed. It's a great fence and very happy with it so far, and that's a big reason of why I want to shoot this video for you. So essentially the fence comes in 3 parts or 4 parts: the rail, this like square tubular section, this angle iron section, the fence entire assembly, which pops up, rotates off. You can see the fence, and there's a fence for the back, or L bracket system for the back. But we'll get into it. This actually isn't needed in some situations. So that's a quick overview. You got the fence assembly, you've got this square tube, you got the bracket for the front, a bracket for the back, and it actually comes with this tape as well. Okay, so really the first issue you come across when trying to attach this table, basically what you're going to do is you're going to take this angle iron for the front piece and you're going to mount it to the tabletop, the cast iron tabletop, 3/16 of an inch below the surface. Best way to do that is take off this square tube assembly, and the best way to take this on and off is to start, there's Allen keys underneath, is to start with the center one and finish with the center one, because otherwise it comes really oiled up to preserve the metal, and it wants to just teeter, and it fell on me a couple times, and that's not good for the screws, not good for your head. So yeah, just do yourself a favor, start with the middle, finish with the middle, and then move on from there. So you take the square assembly off and you're mounting to the cast iron top. So the instructions call for you to make 4 bolts into this cast iron top. Is that correct? Yeah, so you can see there's 4 slots. There's one here, it doesn't seem like you can see it well on the camera. One here, which I have a bolt in, one here, which I have a bolt in, and one here, which I don't have a bolt in. And the quick and dirty answer to this, to solve any problems, the holes don't line up. But luckily the bolts are smaller with this table saw than the holes, and there's enough tolerance to make it fit. If you use the 2 bolts that come with it, you can fasten it on without drilling any holes. And that's the best way to do it. I'm telling you now, if you try and drill holes in it, yes, I agree they want 4. It's probably better to have 4, but there's a webbing structure underneath this table here, and it just gets in the way, and it's not worth the issue. The original fence is held on by these 2 bolts. It's thick cast iron top. It's gonna do what you need it to do, and it's gonna save you a lot of time. Basically, you can throw it in the original bolt holes, bolt it on, get your 3/16 inch spacing, and this part is done. You can do that very quick, save yourself a lot of time. Okay, great. So you've got the first L bracket on. You won't have this tabletop on because it doesn't come with anything like that, but we'll get into that later. You'll have that bracket on, you'll set your spacing 3/16 of an inch. Next thing is get this square tube on. And like I said before, start with the center Allen key. There's just Allen keys on the bottom here, and work your way out. And yeah, it's quite simple at that point, and you've got your front system done. And to be honest, that's all you need to use this system. But we'll keep going on and showing you tips and tricks for the rest. The back rail. Before we get to that, I'm just going to show you the fence system. And basically, on the bottom of it, here, this little nipple looking thing, which this piece should be tight, this glides along this back bracket. That's its only purpose, aside from holding this, the other part of this tabletop in. It's the only purpose of that section. So if you have an outfeed table that's fixtured permanently and your table's fixtured permanently in your shop, you have the space for that, you can get away without having this back railing. You pull this, you pull your outfeed table up against the table cast iron, and you build this section in with your outfeed table or some other way. You do a separate table that floats. Yeah, so if you can figure out how to make this section and the outfeed independent, you don't even need to worry about this back rail. But if you do want to install it, I'll show you the tips to get that done quickly. The back rail. Unfortunately, with these Delta Unisaws, the stock fence is actually threaded. And I'm not going to take it out and show you because my table saw is set up. But as you can see, it sits flush with the cabinet, which means, unfortunately, this cast iron top has to come off in order to get the back rail on. But the good thing is, all you need to do to fit this, the 2 holes in here, will line up with the threaded holes that are already in the cast iron. And the best thing to do is just stick the bolts that come with it. They're a smaller diameter in through there, and put the bolt in and put a nut in the washer on the other side. So you're not using the thread, but you're using that hole. And that will line up for both, and that'll work. I tried drilling holes, and I drilled one. And yes, you can kind of make the one side fit, but then the other side doesn't fit for the same reason of the webbing. So just do yourself a favor here. Stick it in the holes. Take the top off. Stick it in the holes. Bolt it on and put it down. And just be careful lifting up your top. It is heavy, and it can fall, and that would be dangerous. You can also throw out your back lifting this off. I've done it multiple times. So just be careful. Get someone to help you if you need it. And if you don't think you need it, you probably do need someone to help you. So just get someone to help you doing this part. And yeah, after you get the back part on, you do the spacing on the back. Forget what it is off the top of my head, but it's in the manual, and that's the same as with the other fence. And there you go. You got your 2 back rails on. Pretty simple, easy to go. Okay, last part. We're trying to move through this quickly. It's the fence assembly. I already kind of showed this to you, but basically, that's not a good spot to show you. But yeah, so when you're putting this on, the trick here is make sure this is up, and then this piece here is going to sit against this metal brushed aluminum section here, and that's what's going to give you your clamping mechanism. So I'll see if I can do it one-handed. Quite easy. You flip it over. Not doing a great job filming this. There you go. It's flipped over. As you can see, the aluminum doesn't want to go. Where is it? Over there. The aluminum doesn't want to fall on that side. You got to help it. So I'm going to lift it up. Hold the aluminum bracket back. Not pinch my fingers. Okay. And there you go. See? It's going to sit against the bushing. It's just floating on there now. And a little push. Little push. A little push. Maybe it won't. Oh, you gotta open the fence before you put it in case that wasn't obvious, which it should be. Okay, so your fence is on. Easy peasy. Okay, so adjusting your fence. With the Rockwell Unisaws, at least the older ones, mine, Delta, Rockwell, same thing, Unisaws, how they trued their fences that they came with was by counter boring where these bolts are into the frame at different depths until it was true or perpendicular to the miter slots, which would be perpendicular with the blade. So this front surface might not be perfectly parallel. And I should have mentioned this. When I told you about the cast iron top, but I actually ended up having to put a washer behind this side to get the fence to be able to come parallel with the miter slot. So just a reminder but basically what that's going to mean is there's going to be a need to do, you're going to have to do some adjustment once you get to the fence, but luckily it's super easy with this fence. Basically all these knobs are adjustments. First thing you want to do is back them all out. There's like a lock washer you can get with your hand, and then an Allen key bolt. And then once you're done, retighten it. Back all those out. You don't want them interfering with anything. And the first thing you're going to do is get this table true to the miter slot. And how that's done, there's tons of adjustment on this fence, which is what I love about it. It'll make it work on many fences, and it also allows you to keep true. That was stupid. I just probably messed up the carbide tips on my blade there. But on the back here, you can see there's set screws, and they push in these pads, which align it true with, you can see one is more than the other. That's what helps me align it true with the miter slot. So basically, the instructions tell you, let me move this blade down before I mess up my blade again. The instructions tell you to take this off, adjust it, and put it back on. That is silly. Do not do that. If you look at the frame here, there are slots here, and those line up with where the set screws sit on the table saw or on this fence system. So put your fence here and adjust it with the Allen key until it's right. Once you got that true, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, it's true to the miter slot. There you go. You're all adjusted. Basically, the next thing, you know, I don't know what the right order operation is, but I'm just going to tell you what I would do the next time, and that is to put these set screws in on each side until you get the resistance desired for moving your sled, your fence. And that's quite simple. You'll feel when it's too tight. You'll feel when it's too loose. There'll be slop when it's too loose. And once you got that right, tighten those screws. The last thing is adjusting the height from the table. And that's done on this side. Well, you can adjust the trueness actually with the height. So these adjustments will affect that. Your trueness like this is going to be adjusted with these screws, and the height as well. Basically, these set screws, same thing, back it out and screw them in to bring it up. So to get this height the right distance, and to also, which is basically not rubbing and just floating, and then make it true. Then to get the height on the other side, you can reach in here. I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up, but there is that other set screw I showed you on the bottom, which rides on this rail and gives you the height, or your outfeed table if that's how you had it configured. And once you do that, that's mostly it. The last step is to apply the sticker, put your blade up, move it to 0, kind of mark roughly on your table where 0 is, get the blade out of the way, get the saw out of the way, put the tape down along about, it looks like about 1/4 inch that I set it in from the edge, and then you can bring your fence, move it back to 0, and then fine tune 0 with these screws, which is quite there. So once you get to 0, you'll fine tune it in this window, and then your fence is set up and you're ready to go. Last thing is, if you want to do a built-in table insert, once again, I'm not taking mine apart because this is just a quick and easy video. I'm mid-project in here and I'm not disrupting my workflow for this video. So sorry guys, if you need more information, let me know. Basically, I cut some maple, they're 1x1s. I found the offset from here to here basically, and then I added, subtracted the thickness of my material, which is 3/4 inch. Hope you get what I'm getting at. So you can get the distance of where your 1x1s roughly need to be, and then I clamp them into place against the rail and mark these slotted holes on it. There's actually 4. I don't know why there's 3. I don't know why I only have 2, because probably thought it was all I needed. And yeah, drill holes, take them out after, drill holes in the center of those slotted grooves and put them back, stick the bolts through them, put nuts on the end, and put your top on top. Same on the other side. Then you can adjust your height to get it flush. I didn't do a great job of that, and that's why you can see it kind of, the fence ticks this. But I'm okay with that. It works for me. Whatever works for you, works for you. The next thing is after you have your 1x1s on each side, one there, you can put your top on, and I just screwed it into those 1x1s, and Bob's your uncle. I tested some Rubio on this, and it's actually been quite durable, and I didn't like the brightness of the Baltic birch as it was. But now I'm rambling. that's it. At this point, your saw is completely set up, and I hope you did it a lot quicker than I did. You can do it in 30 minutes, no sweat. You don't need to trim anything ideally. You don't need to drill any holes ideally. Should be pretty simple setup. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to make this video so for you guys it's easier and faster to install your fence. It wasn't a big deal for me, but there were some learning experiences. I drilled a hole in my cast iron that I didn't want to do. In case you haven't done it before, drilling holes in cast iron, it's not great. It's a high risk. Well, it's not a high risk, but there is a risk you can crack your table. It takes a long time and it's just awkward angle. It's not something that's fun to do. So with these Delta Unisaws, you don't need to do that. Just use the stock holes, follow the steps I said. Yes, it's not exactly what the manual says, but it'll work. It's fast and it's going to get you up and going. And I haven't had any issues. I don't see why I'd have any issues. The 2 holes is fine. 4 would have been a little overkill. You can see why maybe they want it, but the cast iron is super thick on those tops, especially in the stock bolt holes. It's actually extended in the cast or the mold they made for it, so it's more than enough to support the weight. That's how the stock fence was attached. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this helps you out, and see you guys around. Cheers.